You're adding deception before you've even mastered the spin itself, which results in low spin and low speed. Your disguise is fooling no one but yourself. Alright, let's break down why the hook serve is easier to spin. It's because the standard pendulum is an outward to inward motion, while the hook serve is an inward to outward motion. This makes it incredibly beginner-friendly. That's why I believe beginners should focus on the hook serve. You'll see results much faster. It's very possible to make 3 years of progress in just 1 year. So, what makes the hook serve so effective? Why do opponents misread it so often? First, the disguise between the side topspin and side backspin is excellent. Second, the side topspin has an aggressive kicking effect that can really jam your opponent. Third, the trajectory is naturally shorter. A pendulum serve often goes long, but a hook serve rarely does. However, the hook serve has pros and cons. The return you get is often faster and has a tricky float, making it harder to handle than a return from a pendulum serve. So, you must be prepared for your recovery and the next shot. Let me give you a few key strategies for developing your hook serve. The first hurdle for many is simply understanding the motion. Is it a chopping action or a scrapping action? Here's the second common misconception. Players think they only need to master one variation, like the scrapping or the chopping serve, and they neglect the other. This is a huge mistake. The truth is, you can use several different motions to produce the same spin, and the variation in your follow-through alone can deceive your opponent. The third mistake is a lack of placement variation. For example, in training, a student might return my serves well when they're to the middle. But the moment I serve wide to the corner, they start making errors. Remember, a truly great serve uses placement to control the opponent. You create threats by disrupting their expectations. Thinking short, you serve long. Expecting backspin, you serve topspin. The fourth and most critical issue is that the hook serve degrades into a simple sidespin or backspin serve over time. The reason some players have great serves is because they truly hook the ball. If you don't execute that hook, it's not a true right side spin serve. It just becomes a predictable backspin ball that your opponent can easily power loop. These are the main points to focus on. So, my advice is, first, amateur players cannot afford to be dismissive of the hook serve. Understand that both the chopping and scrapping variations are extremely useful. Second, don't worry about your opponent figuring out the spin. A high-quality serve is hard to return even when you know exactly what spin is on it. Third, don't just practice one placement. If your opponent handles it, don't abandon the serve. You should be practicing and testing every placement, every spin variation, all over the table. In a match, there will always be a spot and a spin that gives them trouble. And fourth, be persistent. As the professional player Wang Chuqin said in an interview, just practice. Spend 7 or 8 hours a day in the hall, and you will improve. Just practice. Eventually, that serve will pay dividends for you. Right now, the biggest problem with the hook serve is this. Short serves pop up too high, and long serves aren't fast enough. Does that sound familiar? You can't generate enough speed on your long serves, right? How many of you have this problem? Believe me, I had the same issue when I started. It's not just you. So what's the secret to my serve's effectiveness? You've returned my serves, tell me, what makes them work? It's the variation in placement and speed. The placement is very uncomfortable, it's impossible to anticipate where you're going to serve. Exactly. I rarely serve to the same spot twice in a row. So the placement is deceptive. Second, I am obsessed with the speed of my long serve. Look, a serve at this speed is easy to return. But in a match, I might serve short like this once. If he stays put, I'll do it again, and he still won't step in. Then, on the third ball, I'll fire one long and jam him completely. My success doesn't come from having a perfect serve when my opponent is ready. It comes from reading their mental state. For instance, if she's positioned here, a serve to this spot will let her attack instantly. But watch her center of gravity, a serve to this spot will catch her completely flat-footed. Why? Because her weight was on her right foot. So when I serve to her forehand, her start is going to be slow. Now watch this. On the next ball, her weight starts shifting to her right, so I serve to her backhand sideline. You can see it in her eyes. She looks hesitant, still thinking about the previous serve and worried about that placement. A common mistake I see from amateur players is that they just grab the ball and rush the serve without even checking if the opponent is ready. As professionals, we always take a moment before serving, wipe the table, glance at the opponent, and then get ready. I always take a look at my opponent. Are they nervous and shifty-eyed? Or are they composed and confident? Where is their center of gravity? Are they standing close to the table? Is their hand trembling? If you see that kind of fidgety, uncertain receiving stance, they are going to push the ball. They're already mentally insecure. So if you serve backspin to that player, they'll push it back and you might miss your own loop. Against a player like that, you must serve a side topspin. Their hesitant push will send the ball flying off the table. This is pure psychological warfare. But as professional players, we always observe our opponent before serving. We analyze their mental and physical state, and that determines our serve selection. So, what's my serving strategy? Let's say my goal is to win points with my side topspin. I will absolutely not start the match by serving topspin. Why? Because if you serve 2 topspins and he pushes the first one long, he's not a fool, he won't make the same mistake 3 times. After 2 or 3 mistakes, he'll start attacking it. Once he adapts, your advantage is gone. You must make him fear the topspin serve. To do that, start with 2 heavy backspin serves. When he loops those into the net, serve another backspin. Then, once he switches to a push return, you can start mixing in the topspin. If he insists on looping everything, just keep feeding him backspin. He's being stubborn, so there's no need for you to change. The moment he starts pushing, you can switch to your topspin serve. When your game plan is to attack a short ball, do not start by serving short. You must establish the long serve first. Conversely, when you want to win with your long serve, start by serving short. You need to plant the idea in their mind that you have other weapons to control them with. This is how you achieve your ultimate goal. Maybe your plan is 7 long serves and 3 short ones, but you must establish the short serve first. The psychological impact is completely different than using the short serve as a last resort. So, use the short serve to pin them down, then open up the court for your long serves. That's generally my approach. My opening tactic is never my primary game plan. For instance, if I want to attack his backhand with a long serve, my first 2 serves will go to his forehand. I'll do this even if it means we go to 1-1 on my own serve. It's about exploiting cognitive bias. If a player misses their first loop against your side backspin, their mind will be fixated on how to handle that same serve next time. If you beat them twice with backspin, they become paranoid about backspin. Their entire focus narrows to that one serve, and they stop thinking about how to handle the side topspin. This is how you lure them into a mental trap and force an error. So, my opening serves are never my main strategy, they are purely to control my opponent's focus. I make them worry about the short ball or the forehand side, and then I attack the backhand. I find this to be a much more effective approach. Second point, don't be afraid of your hook serve being readable. If the spin quality is high enough, it doesn't matter if they know it's coming. The problem I see with amateur players' hook serves is that the spin is not maximized. You're too focused on deception, so your topspin and backspin motions look identical. You're adding deception before you've even mastered the spin itself, which results in low spin and low speed. Your disguise is fooling no one but yourself. This is a very significant issue. The third issue, as I mentioned, is that many of you serve short balls that are too high and travel too far forward, making them easy to attack. If you could serve with the same motion but place the ball here, wide to the side, they genuinely can't reach it. This is because the corner of the table acts as a barrier. That corner is your ally. You need to adopt this mindset. Your short hook serve to the forehand should mimic a left-hander serve. Why is a lefty serve so awkward? Because it breaks away from you. If it came straight forward, you'd just loop it without any trouble. Many players, when serving a short hook, focus only on generating spin. But the more you try to force the spin, the less control you have over the power, and the ball goes long. Watch my serve. I'm not thinking about spin. I'm just focusing on this wrist snap. The key is the sharp angle. The ball will curve off the edge of the table. From there, it takes them 2 steps to reach it, not 1. Once they're stretched out after 2 steps, their return will almost always be cross-court. I serve and then position myself in the middle to block it. If they manage a miracle shot down the line, so be it. But a simple block to their middle will be a winner. As long as you keep the serve low and prevent a flip attack, a simple block is usually enough. Once you land a short serve like that and they can't reach it, they'll become preoccupied with it. They'll stop thinking about your deep serve to their backhand because they're terrified of that short, wide ball. Land just 2 of those serves, and you can control their mindset for the entire match. They will always be worried about that one serve. This is the strategic thinking you need when serving short to the forehand with a hook. So, your mindset for the short forehand serve, starting now in practice, must be to master that sharp, angled ball that breaks away to the corner. The key skill is learning how to serve it short. Now for long serves, why do they lack speed? Because most amateur players are only thinking about making the ball spin. But just like a loop, if you use too much brush, you sacrifice forward drive. Your power will naturally decrease. My philosophy for a fast, long serve is this. Focus on forward impact first, and apply the brush at the very moment of contact, rather than making the entire motion a brushing action. For example, if I just use pure friction, this is as fast as it gets, even with maximum force from my hand. Instead, you need to think about impact. This is a contact-heavy side backspin. It's fast, but not extremely spinny. But if I combine that forward impact with a sharp wrist and finger action at the point of contact, the ball becomes both fast and spinny. It's the same for a side topspin serve. You need space to accelerate into the ball, just like any other stroke. You can't just graze it at the point of contact. If you do that, you will never generate real speed. And a backspin serve without speed is very easy to loop. Watch. Why is a slow ball easy to loop? Because it's slow, giving him plenty of time to complete his full stroke. Now, let me serve a fast one. Why is this one so much harder to loop? Because by the time his swing is only 1/3 complete, the ball is already gone. It gives you only a split second to react, making it impossible to time the shot correctly. And that's why he makes the error. Technically, the brushing action on both serves is identical. I'm trying to maximize spin on the slow one too. But because he has time to execute his full stroke, he won't be troubled by the spin. The same goes for the side topspin. See? This serve has a lot of kick, but why isn't he troubled? Because it's slow enough that he has time to adjust his racket angle and press down on the ball. But if you serve a fast, kicking serve, he has no time. His racket gets jammed here, and before he can even think about closing the angle, the ball has already flown off the end of the table. This is the fundamental reason why so many amateur players practice their serves for a long time but see very little improvement. To summarize, for my short right side spin serves, I prioritize angle and deception. For my long serves, I prioritize speed and jamming the opponent. Spin is then added on top of that foundation. It's about combining forward impact with a downward brush for side backspin, or an upward brush for side topspin, all in one instant. The reason my hook serve is effective now is that I stopped trying to maximize friction. Instead, I focus on maximizing speed and placement.